Clayton Kershaw is consistent, efficient, and determined when he takes the ball every fifth day. And he's been the most dominating pitcher in baseball over the last 4 seasons. The reigning back-to-back Cy Young Award winner takes the mound against the Phillies tonight. Against the left-hander, the Phillies had a fairly easy time in their second victory on this road trip. Tonight, it's going to be a little tougher. It's Game 3 between the Phils and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis. Well, last night it was Brett Anderson that the Phillies faced. It's a little different story tonight because it's Clayton Kershaw. Now, he has a less than 500 record, but win-loss records a lot of times for pitchers, very deceiving.
Very deceiving. They are similar in the fact that they're both left-handed. They both throw white rollings with red seams. So that's pretty much where the similarities end. Clayton Kershaw is so accomplished. He's a polished pitcher. His numbers speak for themselves. The only problem is an offensive player, you never like to give the pitcher too much credit, but it's kind of hard with a pitcher like Clayton Kershaw on the mound.
Well, it's been an incredible run for him. He's also won an MVP award, which is pretty dominant for a pitcher to be able to do that. He's won 3 Cy Youngs overall. And he's also done pretty well against the Phillies in his last 4 or 5 starts.
He has done well, but the thing is about Clayton Kershaw is the fact that he can throw all 4 pitches for strikes. Now, it's a fastball, it's a big overhand curveball, which you very rarely see out of lefties anymore. He will mix in a cutter, and his slider is one pitch that really has come a long way for Clayton Kershaw. Yes, he still throws in the low to mid-90s. You have to be aware of that. But when he gets runners on base, it's his slide step, I think, that really throws hitters off. He does it every pitch, and he just can't get used to it.
Well, we'll see if he winds up being an all-star. He's one of the final 5 in the votes. You see the last 3 starts against the Phillies, a 2-0 record and a 0.41 ERA. Well, for Adam Morgan, everything is new for Adam Morgan, including his first ever start here at Dodger Stadium.
It's going to be a blast for him, and he's done a very, very good job since the Phillies have called him up. And for a guy that we heard about as not being really a strikeout pitcher, he's getting a lot of Ks, Tom, and he's doing it a lot with all-speed pitches. His breaking ball's been very good. His changeup down and away to righties has been very good. And I would like to see him, be honest with you, mix in a few more heaters. But when you're having this kind of success with your all-speed, you might as well keep throwing it.
Well, Pete Mackanin even talked about that. And you talk about the maturation of Adam Morgan. His first 2 starts in the big leagues, there are the strikeouts you mentioned, 11 overall. He's thrown 12 2/3 so far. The only earned runs he's allowed are 3 solo home runs. So we'll see if he can keep the Dodgers offense, a very good offense, off balance here tonight. It is Game 3 of a 4-game series. The Phils and the Dodgers. Dominic Brown back in the lineup. Well, he showed off a pretty strong arm last night. In fact, 2 outfield assists, which assisted Chad Billingsley in the victory. We'll be back to Dodger Stadium in just a little bit. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Citizens Bank. One deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. By Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com. between the Phils and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw is on the mound, getting ready to face the Phillies once again. He comes in with a lifetime record of 2-4 and an ERA of 3.34 against the Phillies. Let's take a look at the Phils starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll be Hernandez, Herrera, and Franco, followed by Darren Ruff, Jeff Francoeur, and Carlos Ruiz. The bottom third features Freddie Galvis at shortstop. Dominic Brown making his second start in right field, batting 8th, and Adam Morgan bats 9th and will pitch. And they'll face left-hander Clayton Kershaw. Just amazingly, just 27 years old. His win-loss record, you kind of have to push that aside. In a season where he has 147 strikeouts in 114 innings, Ben Davis.
27 years old. He did get to the big leagues when he was 6, but he is a very accomplished pitcher. We look at the scouting report. He will touch 95. Change, cutter, slider. The sliders he pitches come a long way for him. Not the best record against the Phillies lifetime, but the last 3 starts have been very effective against these fighting Phils.
Well, it's time now for our Nissan keys to tonight's ball game.
Rise to the challenge, offense. Yes, he's good. Can't give him too much credit. So if the Phillies keep swinging the bats the way they've been swinging the bats, I think they will have a little bit of success. So rise to the challenge and hard in and harder in. Adam Morgan needs to pitch in effectively, especially against these righties, to keep them off his off speed.
Well, we are just about ready to go on a beautiful night. Jeff Francoeur and everybody else is wondering, why is the music still playing?
And why is it so loud?
And it's really loud. So Cesar Hernandez will lead things off. Hernandez has hit in 12 consecutive ball games. There's a lot of things that Cesar has done well, numbers-wise, which we'll talk about as the night goes on. And the first pitch of the evening is hit foul. We're underway. It's 0-1. Cesar overall hitting .301, a home run and 19 runs batted in, 3 for 9 so far in this series. Turner's in on the grass at third. And there's that slider that Ben was talking about. It's no balls and 2 strikes.
And very odd when you see a pitcher throw a slider and a cutter.
And a strike 3 call. His league-leading 148th strikeout of the season.
The reason I say that about the slider and the cutter is the fact that they're very similar. Obviously, the cutter's going to have more horizontal movement. When we look at this fastball, it just dots it down and away. It's a very good pitch. And the slider will have more depth on it, but the cutter's more lateral.
So Hernandez is retired. Here's Odubel Herrera making the start tonight. Herrera's hit in 6 consecutive games. And he takes a healthy swing and a miss at the first pitch. It's 0-1. 1 for 2 in game 1 of this series. Overall 266. 4 home runs, 23 runs batted in. Big curveball. That's the pitch that I've always liked that Kershaw has thrown. You know, the slider obviously is, I agree with you, Ben, that's gotten him a long ways over the last few years. Changeup is good, but the curveball has been really good during his career.
It has been. And another Dodger lefty that had a big curveball, Sandy Koufax. I would liken it to that.
That one is floated out towards center field. It is the curveball, and Odubel Herrera is aboard with a 1-out single. Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Anthony Olsak of Clementon, New Jersey. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game. Anthony will win $100.
Good luck, Anthony.
Maikel Franco is the batter. Franco hitting .296, 10 homers, 34 runs batted in. Maikel is 2 for 7 in this series against the Dodgers. And a fastball on the outside corner, according to the home plate umpire Paul Schreiber. Well, does Kershaw throw anything but strikes? 7 pitches, 7 strikes so far.
He throws a lot of them, and with all 4 pitches.
That one's lined out towards center field and right at Peterson. Good swing by Maikel Franco. Well, there are 2 outs here in the first, and Darren Ruff is coming to the plate.
First baseman number 18.
All you can do is hit it hard. You know, after you swing the bat, it's out of your control. He did a very good job of lining that ball. That was a fastball in. Maikel stands very close to the plate, but he was able to keep his hands in and drill that ball to center field.
Darren overall hitting .228, 4 homers and 14 RBIs, hitting .390 against left-handed pitching this year. Quick toss over, and Odubel is back with ahead of the tag. He has stolen 9 bases, been caught 4 times. Inside, and the first ball of the night. And it's 1 ball and no strikes to rough.
The thing about Clayton Kershaw is throughout his career, he always uses a slide step with a runner on. And you would think that would really keep his velocity maybe down a little bit more, but it doesn't. He still, you see that pitch there at 94, he still keeps that velocity up.
In the dirt, blocked by Ellis. And Herrera does not advance. As Ben mentioned last night, A.J. Ellis is basically the catcher for Clayton Kershaw. Now Kershaw has pitched with Grandal behind the plate. He actually has a better ERA with Grandal behind the plate. With Ellis behind the plate, 80 innings so far, a 3.38 ERA. With Grandal, 34 innings and a 2.38 ERA. Ground ball to third. Turner has it on the backhand. He'll go across the diamond. And the side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. So Adam Morgan will visit another new facility as he begins tonight's game here at Dodger Stadium.
Remember, Dodger fans, 6 runs equals free breakfast for AM PM. Make sure you have the Scratch Power app downloaded for your chance to
tosses for the Phillies. His first start here in Los Angeles. Let's take a look at the Dodgers starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll be Puig, Kendrick, and Turner, followed by Gonzalez, Van Slyke, and Peterson. And the bottom third, Jimmy Rollins, A.J. Ellis, and Clayton Kershaw. And they will face left-hander Adam Morgan, who's been solid so far, 1-1 with a 2.13 ERA. But honestly, Ben, I think this is going to be his biggest test in his making his third start in the big leagues.
It will be a big test for him in the fact that this is a very professional hitting lineup, much like the St. Louis Cardinals, which he did very well against. We look at his scouting report. He'll sit around 90 miles an hour, change curve slider, has used that breaking ball very effectively. And the only runs he's given up are those 3 solo home runs. So definitely need to keep the ball in the ballpark tonight.
Listening to Ruben Amaro today, he was talking about Morgan. Actually, yesterday talking about Morgan, he said his velocity is up from the beginning of the year. He was at 88 at the start of the year, coming back from shoulder surgery. So he's topping off at about 91. Here's Puig to start things off. First pitch is up high, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Puig 3 for 9 so far in this series against the Phils. And he fouls it back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Some young Philly fans getting a chance to enjoy tonight's ball game. They got some primo seats too.
Yes, they do.
Puig hitting .333 against left-handed pitching. That's the pitch I think that's really helped out on Morgan, particularly when he's able to spot the fastball. to then throw the breaking pitch or the changeup for strikes, and that's what he's been able to do.
And that's why I said he needs to pitch in hard and then harder in, because that's going to make that pitch even more effective. You have to keep him off that breaking ball and the changeup.
Off the hands, looped it to right center field. Here comes Dominic Brown, and he'll make the catch.
Is that right on cue?
Right on cue.
Tell you what, you can get that pitch, command both sides of the plate.
Second baseman.
Their hitters at some point are going to have to eliminate one side and just look for it in that part of the plate.
Time now for our Geico quote of the day. Pete Buchanan on Adam Morgan. It goes to show you, for a guy to have that kind of numbers in the minor leagues and come here and make such an impression, I'm not going to totally jump on his bandwagon, but he's got no fear, which is huge. Yeah, Pete did say that, he does have some convincing still to do. He said, but so far, he said, he has exceeded his expectations. Howie Kendrick, the batter. Fastball upstairs. And it's that no fear attitude. We've got a chance to talk to Adam a little bit, and he seems to be the same on the day he pitches, on the day after he pitches, the day before. Very confident kid.
It's one thing about being a baseball player, you have to be steady, especially if you're only playing once every fifth day, as the starting pitchers do. Never too high, never too low.
In the dirt, 3 balls, no strikes to Howie Kendrick, who is 4 for 8 in this series.
It's one thing to have that type of demeanor if you're a Matt Harvin. You can throw 100 miles an hour as a starter, or Jake DeGrom. But to be a guy that's 90, 91, that takes some strength, some fortitude.
Well, I think it certainly helps to be the son of a pitcher. His dad, of course, pitched in college at the University of Alabama. Coached him until he was just past Little League. That one just missed. So ball 4. Kendrick's aboard with 1 out.
Third baseman, number 10.
So the Major League scoreboard, the Brewers defeated the Braves 6-5. Carlos Gomez, 2 home runs. In fact, his second one was the game winner. He hit it against Luis Avilan. They had a right-hander warming up in the bullpen. The Braves did, but they decided to stay with the lefty. So Justin Turner now the batter with a runner at first. Turner hitting .314 with 11 homers. 2 hits in this series so far. It's going to be foul. It's going to go a long way, but it's going to be foul. That's a shot. During the 2015 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. See what Carlos calls for here with the count 0-2. He called for a fastball and it hit him, and that puts runners on first and second.
First baseman, number 23, Adrian Gonzalez.
If you're Justin Turner, you're happy as could be right now. Yeah, but you could rub some dirt on it. But you're sitting 0-2. Your first at bat. Not looking very promising. Get plunked. You put some ice on it later.
Adrian Gonzalez, .291 with 16 home runs, 51 runs batted in. Adrian has a base hit in both games so far. One of the base hits, a home run to right center field. He will be one of 4 representatives for the Dodgers in the All-Star game this year. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. What are you seeing so far, Ben?
Well, he looked very, very effective to Puig, but the last 2 batters just kind of
nibbling.
Yeah, it just seems like he's not being able to find his release point consistently. See him yanking balls.
Let's see if Gonzalez gets a green light against the lefty here. Nope, he takes all the way. It's 3-1.
I know he's your 4-hole hitter, but he did just walk Kendrick, hit Turner.
I think you got to be careful if you throw that same pitch, though, to him in this spot. 3 balls and 1 strike. Fouls it away, and it's 3-2.
Well, you always have to be careful. It's Adrian Gonzalez, but you know how careful you still at some point still have to
throw a strike,
compete out there, throw a strike, and challenge somebody. Especially, hey, if you dug yourself your own grave, you still got to find a way to get back out of it.
Last time out against the Braves, he went 7 innings, struck out 5. He scattered 5 hits in those 2 runs. 3-2 pitch. Off the mound, Galvis is there, scoops it up. Oh, he's trying to be too fancy. Now the bases are loaded. Honestly, he's got to go to first on that play and just get the out.
You have to get an out. That'll be the 2nd out of the inning. And you take your chances with Van Slyke coming up now, but an out has to be made, especially in the 1st inning.
And Scott Van Slyke.
Freddie's a smart player. This is not a smart play by a smart player.
It's not a smart play. The only thing I can think of in Freddie's defense is Adrian Gonzalez is one of the slowest human beings in all the league, but still you have to get an out.
They scored that an error to Freddie Galvis. That's his 11th error of the season. And Van Slyke takes a strike. It's 0-1. You know what, Ben, looking at the replay, he had time to stop and take the ball and flip it backwards to Hernandez to get the middle runner if he chose to. Phillies have played some clean baseball recently, but not there. Bit high, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Kendrick over at 3rd, Turner at 2nd, and Gonzalez at 1st. They don't have great speed on the base paths, but the Phillies do play the infield back. They'll look to turn 2. Fouls it back. It's 1-2.
I was talking with Lorenzo Bundy today. I said, you know, do you like coaching third base? He said, yeah, I do. He said, I wish I had some more burners. You know, it's a team that doesn't run particularly well.
Built for comfort, not for speed.
Yeah.
Just a little low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Didn't miss by much. Jock Peters, who waits on deck. Don Mattingly jumbled his lineup today. Almost hit him. It's 3-2. So a 24 pitch first inning so far, and still just 1 man down. Got to make a pitch here. Got him. Way out front of a breaking ball. First strikeout for Morgan. And 1 away, or 2 away here in the 1st.
That's why getting that out at first base would have been key, because you could have done whatever you wanted against, like with Peterson coming up. But for a young kid to have this kind of composure and throw a breaking ball in that situation, bases loaded, 1 out, I'll tell you what, that takes some composure.
Well, he does have Jock Peterson now to deal with. Peterson led off the first 2 games of this series. And now with the bases loaded, he's batting 6th in tonight's ball game. Outside and low, 1 ball, no strikes.
Normally you would see a pitcher go back to his windup with 2 outs, bases loaded. Morgan deciding to stay in that stretch. Maybe he just feels more comfortable with it right now.
Fastball right down the chute at 91. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Jock Peterson. Peterson hitting .230 with 20 home runs, 39 runs batted in. So far 1 for 8 in this series. The 1 was a double down the right field line. Cutters take their lead. And a foul ball. It's 1-2.
See, I like that, doubling up on that fastball. Yes, they have the scouting report on. They've watched tape on him. No, he throws a lot of breaking balls. Now Peterson there after that 1 hitter, he's probably thinking lefty. I'm going to get an off-speed pitch. Morgan challenged him, threw it by him.
So the battle has Adam Morgan ahead, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jock Peterson. Morgan's all set to go in the pitch. Outside, 2-2. He almost got him to go after it. Popped him up. Maikel Franco, the 3rd baseman, coming down on the grass. He's under it. And Adam Morgan works out of it here in the 1st inning. It took a boatload of pitches, but he showed great composure. The Dodgers leave him loaded and will leave for the 2nd.
You never know what you might experience when you come out to a Dodger game. May 18th when the Phillies take on the Miami Marlins. Access to the field begins at 5:05.
Photos can be taken between 5:40 and 6:10. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. It's Apple Vacations Photo Night presented by Now Resorts and Spas. And also all fans get a free magnetic photo frame when they come to the ballpark. Jeff Francoeur leads it off. Francoeur had a couple hits in yesterday's ball game. A home run, a double. Takes a curveball, and it's 0-2. Well, we talked a lot about Adam Morgan's composure, and he certainly showed composure in that first inning. Strike 3 call. 3 pitches to Francoeur. Second strikeout for Kershaw. There's one away. Carlos Ruiz is coming up. Well, Murph, if Clayton Kershaw is not enough, the Phils have a few more pitchers to deal with the next couple of days.
Yeah, it is going to be one heck of a stretch over the next 3 games for this Phillies offense, which, by the way, since Father's Day, since June the 21st, has scored the second most runs in Major League Baseball and second most runs per game. But they are going to be challenged indeed. If you take a look at the next 3 days, Clayton Kershaw tonight, there you see the numbers, an ERA of 3.08, but really I've been a victim of bad luck, and you look at that record as well. And then right after that, Zach Greinke, as Carlos Ruiz is hit by a pitch, he'll take his base. Zach Greinke tomorrow, who has been absolutely terrific for the Dodgers this year, an ERA of 1.48. And then they head to San Francisco, and who's waiting for them? How about Madison Bumgarner? 8-5, 3.34 ERA for him as well. You could make an argument that they are top 3 in the National League, certainly in the top 5 in the National League in terms of pitchers. And, Pete Buchanan was asked about it today. He said, well, if given my choice, I wouldn't put those 3 up against us right in a row. But, everybody has a bad day. Let's just hope that we get those guys on a bad day and take advantage of it.
Yeah, let's see if the Phils could steal a couple. Murph alluded to the offense. It has been much better. He alluded to some of the numbers since the 21st of June as Galvis bunts up the third base line. It's a beautiful bunt. Turner's not going to be able to make a play. And the Phils will have runners on first and second with 1 man down. That's a 10-game hitting streak for Freddie Galvis.
Put it in your pocket. If Turner does come up with that ball cleanly, I doubt he makes that throw. Why risk it?
We haven't seen him do it during the series.
Right fielder number 9, Dominic Brown.
Well, putting down a perfect bunt is precise. It's a precision play of the game brought to you by GMC.
And he gets this ball down, and I like it, in fact, that you've heard me talk about it before. You didn't give the pitcher a chance to get it as close to the line as possible. If it goes foul, it goes foul.
Dominic Brown's now the hitter with 1 man down and 2 on. He takes a strike at the knees. Outside, 1-1. Just to elaborate a little bit on Murph's point about the runs, 88 runs, as Murph said, second most since June 21st. How about 34 doubles, second most since June 21st in Major League Baseball, and 172 hits, third overall in Major League Baseball.
A lot of hitting.
A lot of hitting. Well, how about the number we put out last night? The most 10-hit games, or I should say the second most 10-hit games since the 7th of June. The Phillies have 16. The Tigers have 17 games of 10 hits or more. But right now, Dominic Brown is down in the count, 1-2. He threw him a fastball. I thought maybe he'd come with something a little softer.
We've seen that with him. The last night, he's getting behind in counts, and they continue to throw him fastballs. They think they can get fastballs in on Dom Brown. I think you see a hook here.
Well, it's awfully tough to cheat if you're Dominic Brown on that too. And he throws him a slider, and it is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Adam Morgan's on deck. Yes, still in search of his first major league hit. After a scorer's decision changed his first major league hit to an error.
Boo.
Shallow left center field. That's a long run, but Rollins is there. Actually, it wasn't as long a run as I thought it would be. 2 outs. Tom Brown's retired, and Adam Morgan's coming up.
Now, what makes Clayton Kershaw so tough is that slide step. The faster he goes, and he does it on every pitch like we talked about, the faster he goes. As a hitter, sometimes you think you see that slide step, so as a hitter, you get jumpy as yourself. He jumps at you, you think you have to jump back. You still have to see the ball and use your hands.
Well, Adam Morgan stands in. He takes a fastball. It's 0-1. Morgan, we mentioned, still looking for his first major league hit. 0 for 5.
Buchanan got one off Harvey this year. I'd like to see Adam Morgan get one off Kershaw.
I wonder if he ever got that steak from Larry Bowa.
Good point. To bring that up to Bo.
You bring it up to David this weekend.
That's right.
0-2 to Morgan. Ruiz leads off second. Galvis off first. And a breaking ball, 1-2 to Adam Morgan. Well, the opposing pitcher hasn't had a whole lot of success against Kershaw. The only home run was Madison Bumgarner. Missed a spot. Got a good hack on him.
Let her eat at him. I like it. Very good swing there. I think you might see Uncle Charlie here, though. See Adam choking up on that bat. Wise decision.
Two pitch. He fouls it back to the screen again. There's the curveball, and he is down looking on strikes. Well, he would eventually get it. 3 strikeouts for Kershaw, no runs, 1 hit, and 2 men left. 19 straight scoreless innings for Clayton Kershaw against the Phillies. We'll go to the bottom of the second. talks about the United States' big World Cup win. Start your day with Bob. Breakfast on Broad. Tomorrow morning from 6 until 8 over on the Comcast Network. Heather was part of the coverage this year in the World Cup. A little taste of home here at Dodger Stadium. Some cheesesteaks for the Phillies fans. Better be careful. Justin DeFreitas might ask for one. Justin sitting in the bullpen.
You think that's a cheesesteak? Or like sausage?
Well, no, I think it's a cheesesteak.
I don't think I'd get one here at Dodger Stadium.
I don't know. That bread looks pretty good.
Not like back home, Tom.
No, but doesn't that bread look good?
Yeah.
That roll looks good.
Maybe they shipped them out from Philly.
They do that in Clearwater. Jimmy Rollins will lead things off. Rollins, Ellis, and Kershaw. Rollins hitting .209, 7 home runs, 26 runs batted in. .273 against left-handed pitching this year. Swings at the first pitch. That's going to be an extra base hit. Dominic Brown is going to try to get to it, but it's going to go to the wall. He better hurry and get it in because Rollins is thinking 3. He's around second and now puts the brakes on. And Darren Ruff was there just in case they wanted to make a play. That's the first hit of the night for the Dodgers. A leadoff double for Rollins, his 11th of the year.
That's your number 17, A.J. Ellis.
Now everybody gets older. I think a couple years ago that's a definite triple for Jimmy Rollins, even from the right side. Happened the other night. He hit a double down the right field line. I thought that could have gone for a 3, but Jimmy Rollins still running pretty darn good. But I think the old Jimmy would have definitely been at third base. Especially with nobody out leading off an inning.
Yeah, you saw where he picked up Lorenzo Bundy for the final time. It was around that second base bag. I think he's saying something to Dominic Brown right now out in the outfield. Dominic, of course, had 2 outfield assists in yesterday's game, and that certainly helped the Phillies to their victory over the Dodgers. Dominic said today, he goes, just trying to do whatever I can to contribute because I'm certainly not hitting. A.J. Ellis, a 187 batter, takes a fastball. It's 0-1. Ellis has not played in this series. He was the Dodgers' everyday catcher for a few years, but as you can see, he hasn't hit a whole lot.
Not a whole lot of thunder in that stick. Hopefully that stays the same tonight.
Change up, 1-1. So at a Major League scoreboard, the Mets defeated the Giants 4-1. Eric Campbell had a home run and 2 RBIs. Giants are 4.5 games back in the National League West. Phillies will head to San Francisco after tomorrow night's ball game. Ellis takes inside. It's 3-1. Well, Adam is not as sharp right now as he was in his first 2 starts, and even those first 2 innings that he pitched against the Nationals when the game was postponed because of rain.
Now sometimes it just, you don't feel comfortable on certain nights. The mound feels different. Some nights you're just not comfortable. Hopefully you can get that. Already with 35 pitches, you'd like to see it be sooner rather than later.
Out toward left center field. Jeff Francoeur going back. That one is gone. 2-run home run for A.J. Ellis. It's his first of the year. And the Dodgers have jumped out to a 2-0 lead here in the bottom of the second.
I said not a whole lot of thunder in his bat, but you could work yourself into a 3-1 count. You know you're going to be sitting dead red and get something good to hit. that's what A.J. Ellis does here. I mean, this pitch is center cut and elevated. And even a guy hitting 187 is not going to miss that one.
Clayton Kershaw skies one to left. Jeff Francoeur was angling over toward the line. He says he has it. And there's one out here in the second.
Number 66, Yasiel Puig.
I mean, you're not going to ask for anything. That's sitting on a tee. It's a good swing. But again, you know you're going to get something just grooved in that situation. And he didn't miss it.
Puig flied out to right field his first time up. Fouls the first pitch back over the screen, 0-1. It's the seventh game that Puig is batting leadoff for the Dodgers here in 2015. He went around according to the home plate umpire Paul Schreiber, and it's 2-2. Schreiber behind the plate. Jim Reynolds, the crew chief, at first. Manny Gonzalez at second, and Ben May, who had a good night last night behind the plate, is over at third. Down the left field line. Good changeup over to first. Ruff has it. They better hurry. Morgan races to the bag in time to get Puig. Well, he does move when he wants to, and he made that a lot tighter play than most would.
Well, it's harder for a lefty because he's falling off towards the third base side. Adam Morgan, he really doesn't fall off a whole lot as a lefty, but as soon as he sees that ball, man, he got on his horse and made his way over to first. Depending on how fast the guys are that are running, a lot of pitchers like to get to the line, run up the line, give the first baseman or second baseman, whoever's making that throw, more of a target to throw at. But in that situation, with Puig running so quickly, you really had to make more of a direct line towards first base, and Darren gave him a good feed.
Kendrick walked his first time up. Takes a curve high. 1 ball, no strikes. One ball, 1 strike to Kendrick. Back-to-back changeups, and it's 1-2. Back to the box. Adam Morgan's got it. Side is retired. He does give up a 2-run home run, though, to A.J. Ellis, his first home run here at Dodger Stadium since September of 2013. So now the top of the order will try to get those runs back. It'll be Hernandez, Herrera, and Franco when we return to the top of the third. Go to the fan section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Ben, the question is, who was the last Dodger pitcher before Clayton Kershaw to win the National League ERA title?
Well, that one's definitely not Maury Wills.
That is not Maury Wills. You have not been able to use that answer.
I have not.
The answer will be revealed in just a little bit. Cesar Hernandez leads it off. Little dribbler back towards second. Howie Kendrick has it. And there's one away. So one pitch, one set aside for Kershaw.
37.
Tonight's game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language through the menu on your cable box.
See.
Odubel Herrera singled his first time up. One of 2 hits for the Phils. Here's strike one. It's 0-1. Odubel asking for time. It wasn't being granted, but Kershaw was waiting, and it's 0-2. Well, Kershaw's got 2 runs to work with. The last 8 games, the Dodgers have averaged only 2 runs for him. That's part of the reason why his record is less than 500. But his strikeout total, which is now at 150, 3 looking strikeouts tonight, leads the league. His whip, which is the walks and hits per innings pitch, which I think is a pretty big number for pitchers, is 7th best in the National League. As that one's fouled back, it remains 1-2. All the runs the Dodgers scored, they've only scored 2 on average for him in the last 8 games.
It's hard to believe.
One-two pitch. Swing and a miss. Gets him with a slider. 4 strikeouts for Kershaw. For the last 5 seasons, the ERA leaders include Clayton Kershaw on 4 different occasions.
That's silly.
Part of the reason why he's won 3 Cy Young awards.
Just silly.
Yeah, he's one of 17 pitchers in history to win multiple Cy Young awards. Franco, swing and a miss. It's 0-1.
Do you think anyone will come close to Roger Clemens' 7?
No, I don't. I just don't know if pitchers will be durable enough. I mean, there's always going to be a breakdown. At least it seems that way in this day and age. Maybe that's wrong, but that's the way it does seem. Now, he doesn't seem like he's breaking down. Particularly tonight, he's retired 5 in a row. He's allowed 2 hits so far. Middle of the 3rd, Phillies trail the Dodgers 2-0. Buy right. Buy your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com. And buy Yellowwood brand pressure treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it. Phillies trail at 2-0. We go to the bottom of the third here in Los Angeles. It'll be Justin Turner, Adrian Gonzalez, and Scott Van Slyke. Adam Morgan's allowed 2 runs on a 2-run home run by A.J. Ellis back in the second. First pitch is inside and low. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Turner was hit by a pitch his first time up after falling behind Adam Morgan. He'll try to come inside again. It's 2-0.
Just his back foot is so close to the plate. And he has that open stance, obviously the exaggerated leg kick, but his back foot, as you could take a look here, I mean, it is pretty much on that chalk. If you can get up and in on him, I mean, that is the spot to go. And with him being so close to the plate, it doesn't have to be that far towards the inner part. I think he's going to jam himself. It's just pitchers have a tough time getting into that vicinity.
Well, that foot is out of the box. As it's fouled away, it's 3-2. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, a final score in Boston. The Red Sox 6 and the Marlins 3. With the win, the Red Sox are now 41-45 and are within 4.5 games of first place in the American League East. 4.5 games separate the top team and the bottom team in the AL East.
It's amazing. I would not count out those Sox. I just think they're a pitcher or two away. They just find a way to win. I still think the Baltimore Orioles will win the East.
Orioles are currently a 1.5 games behind the Yankees. Turner goes after a high pitch and it remains 3-2.
I just think the Yankees, such a veteran ball club, especially offensively. I just think those guys are going to get worn out by the end of the year.
Owens not hit that well out towards center field. He got it toward the end of the bat, and Odubel Herrera makes the catch for the first out. Sunday, July 19th, all fans 15 and older will receive the Pennsylvania Auto Theft Prevention Authority travel mug. Phillies take on the Miami Marlins. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com.
Throw your Wawa coffee in there. Nice looking mug.
Old school logo on it.
The cup was good looking too, Tom.
Yeah, the cup was good. Here's Adrian Gonzalez, who reached on an error his first time up. 0-1 to Gonzalez. Boy, a big rip at a curveball. Off the end of the bat, it's going to bloop out toward left and drop in front of Frank Thor. 90th hit of the year for Gonzalez. And the Dodgers have a runner aboard with 1 man down for Scott Van Slyke.
Scott Van Slyke.
Pretty much in the exact same spot that Adrian Gonzalez hit that ball up the middle with Freddie Galvis booted in that first inning, but That was maybe a little bit more elevated, enabled him to get the bat underneath the ball a little bit and get a knock to left.
Morgan was able to get Van Slyke swinging his first time up, and he lines that one to left field, a base hit. Gonzalez will stop at second, so the Dodgers have runners on first and second with one man down here in the third. And that'll bring Jock Peterson to the plate. Jock Peterson will head to Cincinnati, Mert, for his first All-Star appearance, and we have come to find out his first home run derby appearance.
That's right. His 20 home runs, guys, are the most home runs by a rookie in the National League. Just two times it has ever been more than one rookie has hit more, and that's Dave Kingman and Albert Pujols. They both hit 21 before the All-Star game in their rookie years. So that is why he is headed to the All-Star game, because of his power numbers. They certainly have been good. And, you know, he's going to Cincinnati. We've talked about that home run derby and what that's going to be like. When you think about that field and you think about that right field fence, you think that Jock Peterson might have a pretty good chance in that All-Star game. When you look at his power numbers, the 20 home runs that he has hit this year, how about 11 of them to straightaway center field and 8 of them to right field? So he's got that pull power that people are anticipating watching in Cincinnati. Not a surprise that he's in the home run derby contest, and he joins a group of other players in the home run derby, of course, and some pretty big names in the game as well. We'll share them with you in just a second. But Jock Peterson not hitting for average, which, you know, certainly the Dodgers, Don Mattingly and the Dodger faithful would like to see a little bit more of. Maybe that's part of the reason why he has slid back in the lineup. But he certainly has had an excellent rookie season so far, particularly in the power numbers. Take a look at some of the guys that are in the home run derby contest. You see Chris Bryant, another rookie, Todd Frazier, Rizzo, Prince Fielder, who's having a terrific year as well. Albert Pujols, one of the guys that we mentioned, also Machado and Donaldson, the leading vote getter out of Toronto. So it should be an interesting time in Cincinnati. Certainly, as you guys have talked about, they're going to need a lot of baseballs that night for sure.
Yeah, they're going to be flying all over Cincinnati, not only for the home run derby, but also for the game itself. Peterson said yesterday, to be part of the home run derby is something you dream about as a little kid. To see all these great home run hitters like McGuire, Bonds, Griffey, and to participate is exciting. I think it's a special event. He said the one he remembers most was the one in 2008 when Josh Hamilton belted 28 home runs in the first rounds.
It was awesome. Yankee Stadium, just awesome. I watched his BP today, Peterson. It is impressive, and just not a big guy. Very handsy hitter, and the bat whips through the zone.
In the dirt, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the format has changed for 2015. There'll be head-to-head single elimination matchups, and Peterson has found out that he is going to go against Manny Machado of the Baltimore Orioles. And if he gets by him, he'll face the winner of Chris Bryant or Albert Pujols in the head-to-head matchup.
I know he's got 20 jacks, but hitting 230, that doesn't cut it for me. That doesn't make you an all-star, in my opinion.
Well, that pitch is awfully close. I guess it's a hair off the plate. Kershaw's getting a lot of those same pitches, but maybe his is closer to the edge. Rollins waits on deck. Three balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Runners lead off first and second. Off the end of the bat, Morgan's got it. He looked to third, now throws high to second. That's the only runner they'll get. So 2 outs. Peterson's aboard on the fielder's choice, and Rollins is coming up.
Number 11, Jimmy Rollins.
As a pitcher, you got to realize, hey, this is I know exactly where I'm going with this ball as soon as I get it. Hit back to me, I'm going to second base. As much as you practice in spring training, the PFPs, the pitcher's fielding practice, sometimes in the game, your instinct always tells you to get the lead runner. But not in that situation. You got to go to second base automatically, especially when you have someone as slow as Adrian Gonzalez. But Michael Franco would not have gotten to third base. Then he would end up with first and second with 2 outs.
And now you got to deal with Rollins, who doubled his first time up, scored a run on the home run. Takes inside. It's 1-0. Now, after he hesitated, probably wasn't going to be able to turn 2 once he hesitated. Should he have waited for Franco to go to third and then fire to third? He had a chance.
I don't think he would have gotten Peterson first.
No. Throw to third.
Yeah, I mean, he would have
there.
had to wait for him to get there.
Yeah.
But
outside, 2-0.
Peterson, all-star for you?
I didn't think he should have been, no.
Listen, that's coming from a guy. I never hit 20 home runs in a whole year, not even close to it. 20 home runs is a big number before the All-Star break. And I understand that, but 230, you're up there in strikeouts. I think there's just
and the batting average in the low 200s with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, very low. And the other night was what, 207, I think, runners in scoring position.
There's a strike. It's 2-1. Now he has shown to be a very gifted defensive center fielder.
Yes,
and that's part of the reason why he was voted.
I think he's got a very, very bright future. But 230 is not cutting for me.
A high fly ball deep to left field. Francoeur's going back, and that one is gone. 3-run home run for Jimmy Rollins. He golfed it out of the yard. It's 5-0. Dodgers on top. 8th home run for Rollins.
Jimmy knew he got a 2-0 changeup and a 2-1 breaking ball. He's always had a little bit of pop. You say more pop from the right side? I mean, obviously batting a lot more left-handed, but he's got some juice from the right side.
Bob McClure out to talk to Adam Morgan. Boy, a 5-run deficit against Clayton Kershaw is a tough one to overcome.
Yep, that's what he's saying right there. He said 2-0 changeup, 2-1. Saw him bend his wrist there. It was a breaking ball. Maybe Bob McClure went out there and said, hey, let's start throwing some more fastballs here.
A.J. Ellis homered his last time up, a 2-run shot. He takes a strike at the knees. He takes the ball. Excuse me. I've kind of figured out Paul Schreiber against Kershaw. I can't figure him out totally with Adam Morgan. Owens off the mound and another base hit for Ellis.
Clayton Kershaw.
Kershaw flied out to Francoeur his first time up, so he's 0 for 1. inside, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
A lot of fans may wonder, how can you win the MVP and the Cy Young? He didn't even reach 200 innings last year, 198 innings. Well, went over to Japan, the team did in spring training, played those 3 games, got the win, but had to go on the DL with a back injury. So he wasn't able to get 200 or more.
Gets that one right back to the box, and the side is retired. But Jimmy Rollins has extended the lead here for the Dodgers. He went down and got that one, golfed it out of the ballpark. So 2 home runs tonight for the Dodgers, one by Ellis, the other one by Jimmy Rollins. Providing amazingly low prices on kitchen disposables, consumables, smallwares, and so much more. From your new restaurant partner, who but WB Mason. Phillies trail at 5-0 as we move to the top of the 4th inning. Time now for our T-Mobile game changer. We've been talking a lot about Clayton Kershaw. And Kershaw, the lowest ERA since 1920 in Major League Baseball, a 2.53 ERA. Look at the names that are on that list with him. And Sandy Koufax, of course, is there. Whitey Ford. Got a few lefties there in the top of that list, huh?
An old Spud Chandler.
Spud Chandler. Here's Darren Ruff to lead things off. Darren grounded out to third his first time up. Well, he's got that curveball breaking off here tonight, which is just adding to the mix. Jimmy Rollins has helped him to a 5-run cushion. The dirt, 2-2.
I don't see a lot of those big breaking balls because it's hard to throw for a strike. It's only going to be in the strike zone for a little bit. You get the top to bottom break. Probably more guys, I think, are throwing more sliders as opposed to the curveball.
I don't think you see a lot of left-handers throw that kind of curveball.
No.
Popped up over toward the Dodger dugout, out of play. Poor guy. He's got to catch that ball. He's going to hurt the young lady below. She ducked. He dropped it. He got booed.
As well he should. She got the ball.
Swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts for Kershaw. And 1 out here in the 4th. And that'll bring Jeff Francoeur to the plate.
Number 3.
Sometimes you just have to help a pitcher. You get over aggressive, think, oh, he's going to challenge me, and throw a good pitch here in the zone. End up chasing the pitch. pitch not even close to the zone.
Francoeur takes a little bit inside.
It was the 4th pitch in a row that he's taken. Took 3 his first at bat. Unfortunately, he struck out on 3 pitches. And that one was his 4th. You knew one was coming.
You mean a swing or a changeup?
A swing. You knew a swing was. You could have thrown the rosin bag there, and Jeff would have swung at it.
Ball, 2 strikes to Francoeur. And a strike 3 on the outside corner. 6 strikeouts. And the Phillies certainly aren't figuring out Clayton Kershaw here tonight, particularly over the last few innings. He's retired 7 consecutive hitters.
And this is just some paint right here. A fastball away. I mean, could that be any more on the black? The pitcher can go side to side like that. At 17 inches, that the width of the plate seems like it's 34 inches.
37 strikes, 11 balls. And I'll make it 12. Cole Hamels has that ability. Foul ball, and it's 1-2. See Hamels this weekend against the Giants. Back to a pitch on Friday against Madison Bumgarner. 1-2 pitch to Ruiz. Outside, and it's 2-2. Check swing. Did he go? No. This is the first base umpire, Jim Reynolds. But it's now 3-2. A.J. Ellis showed a little bit of emotion there.
Looked like a kid who lost his balloon. Chooch may have gotten away with one there, but
fly ball right field. Playable for Puig. He makes the catch. Side is retired. 8 in a row retired by Kershaw. Phillies go down in order here and there, half of the 4th inning. On to the bottom of the 4th. It's 5-0 Los Angeles. Philadelphia Phillies. And by the Quality Plus Sports Stores. Go further. Oh, gorgeous night here in Los Angeles. Kind of cloudy most of the day. Sun popped out when we arrived here at Dodger Stadium.
The marine layer was hanging around too long.
The layer was hanging around. You asked about that today, and what were you told about the marine layer? No, it's not the marine layer. It was just cloudy.
Just cloudy.
Yeah,
yes.
just cloudy.
It's not smog either. It's marine layer.
Marine layer.
Despite the 9 gazillion cars on the freeways out here.
How'd you feel with the traffic today?
I was not very happy about it.
Yasiel Puig swings and misses the first pitch. It's 0-1.
There's 67 freeways.
Yeah.
Going both ways. There's 6 lanes, 5 or 6 lanes going each way.
Yeah.
And it's still bumper to bumper. So I'm not a big fan.
How do you compare it to the Schuylkill?
Well, I try never to go on the Schuylkill. I don't care what time of day. I just refuse to go on the Schuylkill. Depending on where I'm going. But sometimes you have to. But I still think it's way worse than the Schuylkill. Now, granted, the Schuylkill is only 2 lanes.
Right.
So it's, you kind of pick and choose. I mean, it's pretty much expected because it's only 2 lanes. These lanes out here are 6 going each way.
6.
So I'm not a big fan.
I will say that in past years when we've been out here, this is probably the worst thing we've had. I mean, we've been caught in traffic a lot in the 3 days so far.
It's just at all times of the day. We were at 11:30 today on the freeway. We were on the 405, not Freeway 405. The 405. It takes forever. Had enough.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Puig. Outside 3-2.
Okay, I'll stop complaining now.
Well, you're not really complaining. You're just evaluating.
I'm stating facts.
Yeah. Jimmy Rollins told Murph the other day traffic is worse here in Los Angeles than in Philadelphia. That one's lined out to center. Odubel. Woo!
Oh, man.
Well, you can chuckle a little bit because he made the catch. That ball just kept on taking off.
Hardest play in baseball. And that looked like a 747 taking. That ball was scolded. That's a great play. A great play. Because we could see it from our direction. That ball started to come back towards
you could tell.
Center field. It started off not left center gap, but towards that way and started to come back. That's a great play by Odubel.
Howie Kendrick hits that one to right field. Dominic Brown is under it. Yeah, there are 2 outs.
And he starts to make his way over there, and you see that ball come back. That is a very athletic play.
Thank goodness he was able to make that play.
And he started to get over there. He thought he had a beat on it, and then it just, like I said, came back more towards center field and threw his glove up. And thank gosh he is athletic as he is. This is the hardest ball hit all series, hands down.
By anybody?
By anybody.
What about the home run by Grandal?
No, that was way harder. I'd like to know the exit speed. They have all these terms now. I'd like to know the exit speed on that one off his bat.
Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. We're seeing a few more fastballs here from Morgan.
I really think that's what that meeting with Bob McClure was about. Fastballs. Usage.
Francoeur out in left field comes trotting in. He's under it and makes the one-headed catch. A 1-2-3 fourth inning for Adam Morgan. Well, nice bounce back for Adam. He trails at 5-0 as we go to the fifth.
All right, Dodger fans.
Fans trivia quiz answer. All right, Ben, here we go. Who was the last Dodger pitcher before Clayton Kershaw to win the National League ERA title?
Really the only big name starter. I was going to go with my former teammate for a little bit, Kevin Brown, number 27.
Kevin Brown is correct, back in 2000. Did you hear John Reynolds, our stage manager, mention his name earlier?
I did not.
You didn't hear him?
I did not.
When John handed me the card, when he handed me the card, when I read it originally, he made a comment about Kevin Brown, about what a nice guy he was.
Oh.
And
I didn't know that was the answer to the trivia question.
Oh, okay.
I just thought you were pointing out that Kevin Brown was a pitcher for the Dodgers.
I didn't know if that was a hint. I was going to change the question midstream.
No, never.
0-2 pitch, tapped out to second. Kendrick comes charging. He's got it. And Galvis is retired, one away. And that will bring Dominic Brown to the plate.
Dominic Brown.
Now, when you take a look at Clayton Kershaw, you always notice that his glove is fanned. From end to end, tip to tip, you're going to see how that glove is fanned out. Now, a lot of pitchers will do that so they don't give away pitches. Sometimes a guy will fan his glove on off-speed pitches.
That one is pulled down the right field line by Dominic Brown, going to the corner. Yasiel Puig dodges a security officer, and Dominic Brown is at second base with a stand-up double with one man down.
Very nice. So a lot of times, again, a guy will fan his glove, so tip to tip it's going to be really wide, and he'll have to dig into that glove and get a wider grip on his pitches, off-speed pitches. On a fastball, sometimes they keep their glove not as fanned. So Clayton Kershaw chooses to keep that glove fanned at all times so as not to give away pitches. In the minor leagues, it's something that's very apparent. You can pick up pitches like that all the time in the minor leagues, but you know, in the big league level, it can get well known around the league, and the pitchers will adapt accordingly.
I think he's done that pretty much his entire career, right?
He has, and maybe that's something that, you know, he wasn't in the minor leagues for very long, but that could have been something that was found out at an early age in the minor leagues, his professional career, and they switched it right away. And I mean, you just never know what's coming out of that glove because it's fanned the same way every pitch.
Well, he retired 9 consecutive batters before that double by Dominic Brown. No balls and 1 strike to Adam Morgan, and Morgan waves at the next one. He took a healthy cut. That wasn't really a wave, and it's 0-2.
He did that his first at bat.
And Morgan strikes out. First base is unoccupied, so they have to throw down. 7 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. And with 2 men down and a runner at second, we'll go back to the top of the order for Cesar Hernandez, who has not looked comfortable at all in his first 2 at-bats against Clayton Kershaw.
Cesar Hernandez.
Hector Neris is starting to throw in the bullpen for the Phils. Little dribbler left of the mound. Kershaw has it, spins and fires. Side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left in scoring position. Clayton Kershaw has been on top of his game here tonight.
All right, Dodger fans, it's time to play the hat shuffle.
Bank's Champions in Action program recognizes nonprofit organizations that are making a difference in our communities. Congratulations to our latest champion, Philadelphia Academies. To learn more, visit citizensbank.com/community. At Citizens Bank, we want to help you bank better. So the next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. Well, as we move to the bottom of the 5th inning, Hector Neris will be the new pitcher for the Phils. Neris 2 2/3 so far in the big leagues, just called up from Lehigh Valley. While the Phils were out here in Los Angeles, Phillies felt like they needed an extra pitcher in the bullpen.
Well, if the starter's not getting very deep into ball games, they're going to need some relief help.
He's on to face Adrian Gonzalez. Adam Morgan finished up by retiring the last 4 batters that he faced. It's tough to compare, let's say, Morgan to Kershaw. Morgan had 14 balls out of the strike zone in the first inning. Kershaw's thrown only 14 balls in 5 innings. And he's got different stuff, obviously. 1 ball, 1 strike to Gonzalez. Adrian Gonzalez has played 1,576 games without visiting the disabled list. He and Frank Core among the leaders. Swing and a miss. He got him with that changeup, which is his out pitch. It's a nasty pitch from Neris. And there's 1 away.
That is an awful long time to go. You would expect that out of first baseman, outfielder, although outfielders tend to be able to run quickly. You think maybe they might pull a hamstring, or even a third baseman, could be able to play a long time without going on the DL. We saw Miguel Cabrera, first time in his career, go on the DL.
Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. Toward left field, Francoeur on the run. He's not going to get that one. There'll be a run hop off the wall, and Van Slyke pulls it to second with his second hit of the night, his 9th double. Scott Van Slyke, who is the son of Andy Van Slyke, the longtime major leaguer.
Center fielder, Jock Peterson.
Follow the Phillies wherever you are with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Keep up with the Phillies. If you're out here west, probably need that app. Here's Jock Peterson.
Larry and I were down talking with Davey Lopes today, and Van Slyke was in the cage. I said, Larry, I really like Van Slyke. I really, really like Scott Van Slyke. He's like, really? I said, yeah. And he's got a couple knocks tonight, 2 bullets left. And Larry looked kind of surprised at me. I said, I'm telling you, the kid can play. It's just hard for him to find playing time right now with this outfield that they have. What do you think's hidden in that beard?
A couple birds, a couple hummingbirds.
What?
Maybe an umbrella. Swing and miss, 0-2.
Good pitch there, tied him up. Just, swinging that hard. Just lose the quickness of your hands.
That one's fouled away. It remains 0-2.
Trying to climb the ladder here. Not up so high where he's not even going to offer, but you just get it up high enough.
Yeah, he's enough of a free swinger that you might be able to get him chasing. He has struck out 100 times during his rookie season.
And Nares has enough giddy up where he can throw it by him if it's not the perfect height.
0-2 pitch. Threw him a changeup. It's down low, 1-2. And Peterson is down on strikes, so 2 outs. Well, there you go. We said he's a free swinger. You throw the right pitch out of the zone.
Now the pitch before that was a changeup down and away, and he was nodding his head like, okay, I know you got that. I know that's in your repertoire. And he backs it up and throws another one, and he swings right over top of it. That is a nasty pitch.
Here's Rollins. Rollins is 2 for 2, a double and a home run. 2,370 career hits for Jimmy Rollins. One ball, no strikes. That one's in there. It's 1-1. There's his home run, his last time up.
Good extension after he makes contact there. Finishes high. Creates a little bit more backspin on the baseball. Jimmy trying to go from both sides of the plate. Jimmy, one of 3 Phillies to go from both sides of the plate in the storied history of the franchise. Can you name the other 2?
Greg Jeffries?
No.
1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dave Hollins.
They both played shortstop.
Oh.
One played a little third as well.
Inside 3-2. I'd have to chew on it for a little bit, but
okay, we can revisit that.
You can give the answer,
Tom. Steve Jeltz and Tomas Perez.
Steve Jeltz.
That's right.
You know what? I do remember Tomas doing it.
Yes.
Out towards center field, Odubel Herrera comes running in. He's there, makes the catch, side. He's retired. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. We've played 5. We'll go to the top of the 6th. It's 5-0 Dodgers.
All right, Dodger fans, it's time to play Ask the Dodgers, presented by New Balance. I'm here with Branson. I'm going to try to get him a new pair of sneakers.
Philly of the week is the Phillies closer who was selected to join the National League in the 2015 All-Star Game. Jonathan has been closing the door for the Phillies with consistency since he arrived, and the 2015 season hasn't been any different. Leading up to his Midsummer Classic selection, he had saved all 14 attempts, 16 straight dating back to last season, and 30 of his last 31 opportunities. Papelbon's 6th All-Star nomination is well-deserved. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. 5-0 Dodgers on top as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Phil's going to try to do some damage against Clayton Kershaw, who has been exceptional through the first 5. He's allowed just 3 hits so far. He has struck out 7. A young lady enjoying a children's book about Jackie Robinson. Figures the Dodgers have already scored 5. Now sit back and do something else, baseball, in the world of baseball. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think that was a case of the catcher not setting up in the spot, not getting the call.
He only has thrown 64 pitches, 15 balls tonight. 49 strikes, 50 strikes, and it's 1-2. Is there ever a case where you psych yourself out before you even face the pitcher because he's that much, I guess, on paper so good? I mean, I know you probably never did, but did you ever see guys do that?
Yes.
8 strikeouts.
Kind of like that. I mean, it's just, you don't want to psych yourself out because you don't want to give him that much respect, but sometimes you just go up there and it's a helpless feeling.
Well, 1 away. Maikel Franco's coming up. Kershaw has 3 Cy Young Awards, Murph, and some of the other career numbers stack up pretty nicely for him.
Yeah, if you don't want to be psyched out, you might want to turn away from the screen, because some of the numbers that he has racked up over his career are pretty tremendous. I mean, we've talked about the Cy Young Awards. Tough play right there. It's going to fall in front of Puig. Base hit. Some of the numbers that he has ranked up over the last couple of years are just remarkable. Take a look at where he ranks among active pitchers. Winning percentage, first. ERA, first. Hits per 9, first. Yeah, you go right down the list. I mean, strikeouts per 9, he's slacking a little bit. He's just 4th in that one. But, you just think about what he's been able to do year in and year out consistently in a league that some pretty good hitters, and he has been just absolutely dominant, and we're seeing one of those performances tonight.
103 wins, 55 losses so far. Darren Ruff takes inside, 1 ball, no strikes. One ball, 1 strike to Darren Ruff. With those numbers that Murph just showed, Kershaw is 4th currently right now in the vote for the extra player in this year's All-Star game. He has 4 teammates that are going, and he was left off this year's All-Star list, even though it seems to be a rite of passage for him to go. 4-time All-Star. He's made it the last 4 years. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Ruff hits it toward the hole. That'll sneak into left field, a base hit. Back-to-back hits for the Phillies. It's only the 2nd time tonight that they've had back-to-back base runners aboard. With 1 man down, it'll bring Jeff Francoeur up. Other candidates in the final vote include Johnny Cueto, who put a pretty good stamp on his case last night with his effort against the Nationals. Carlos Martinez, Tulowitzki, and Jeurys Familia. Xander Bogaerts, last time I looked, was leading in the American League for the Red Sox. Somehow I would be surprised if the Royals fans didn't get Moustakas there.
Yeah, they're making a run at it. My vote is Familia. The runners will advance here. A wild pitch by Kershaw. I'd go Familia, National League. I'd go Brett Gardner, American League.
I like the Gardner choice. And Familia has pitched well for the Mets. One ball, no strikes to Francoeur. Runners lead off 2nd and 3rd. Fouled on the right field line, 1-1. Jimmy Rollins in shallow left center will make the catch. I should say shallow left, and there are 2 outs. Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins 7 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, July 14th on Fox.
I know Franco and Darren Ruff just got singles, but I mean, sometimes that feels like. I remember I got my first hit off, I think my only hit off Pedro Martinez, and it was a bleeder jam shot over the third baseman. I felt like I was on top of the world. You know, it's just sometimes they're just that good.
Outside to Ruiz, it's 1-0.
See a 2-out knock here, though. Scoring both. Why not? I'm sure Frenchie's very upset with his at bat right there. Struck out his first 2 at bats, wants to atone for it, pops up to short.
Galvis waits on deck. There must be something to that about his stretch and how quickly he gets it to the plate. Power pitcher, you expect a little bit more, but he does get a lot behind it. A little more time, I would think, in the motion.
You'd think there would be more wear and tear on his arm.
Throwing like this. That one's popped up over toward first. Kershaw's heading back to the dugout. Side is retired. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left in scoring position. Just one of those nights when the 3-time Cy Young Award winner is on top of his game, and it's hard to do anything. Local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Buy McDonald's. Double love it at McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry for just $2.50. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And buy Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyattoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Oh, if only we could move that fast here in Los Angeles.
Not happening.
Not happening. That's what we do. We need hyperspeed. A.J. Ellis leads it off. He's not getting that big round of applause. It was Hideo Nomo who was getting the big round of applause because tonight is Japan night here at Dodger Stadium, and they flew Hideo Nomo all the way over from Japan to be part of the festivities. 1-0 pitch to Ellis, and he bloops that one to right, and that'll drop for a hit. He's 3 for 3. His average is climbing over 200. He started the night at 187. He's going to be over 210 now.
Pitcher, Clayton Kershaw.
Never say anything about another light-hitting catcher again.
Do not.
A little knockdown wedge there to right field. Didn't even finish the swing. It's not pretty, but effective.
Well, Kershaw's 0 for 2. He's flied out and he's grounded out. Showed bunt and then took a whack at it, and he whacked it foul. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. And he bunts it back toward the mound. Neris will have a play at first. Sacrifice is successful. 1-4 on the putout. And one away. Yasiel Puig is coming up. Nemours Kids Run the Bases will take place on Wednesday, July 22nd, when the Phillies take on the Tampa Bay Rays. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Here's Puig. Puig is 0 for 3. First pitch is inside. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
The first 3-hit game for A.J. Ellis at Dodger Stadium since June 30th, 2013, against Kyle Kendrick in the Philadelphia Phillies.
Man was hitting $187 before tonight. Now he's hitting better than Jimmy Rollins. Puig takes low.
We got a tweet from Rob Hume saying the exit speed was 109 off Puig's bat last time.
That's pretty darn quick. That's on the ball that Odubel Herrera was able to catch.
I told you that's the hardest ball hit this series. I'm telling you, 100%.
Swing and a miss. He got him with that changeup. Boy, it is a good pitch. That's his 3rd strikeout of the night. And there are 2 outs for Howie Kendrick.
Bottom just fell out of it.
Well, that's the best his changeup has looked. We've only seen him in the big leagues for a couple of years, sporadically.
It always has like a split finger action. And that's about as ugly a swing as you're going to see.
Kendrick takes a strike. It's 0-1.
You go through games that are just, there's not a lot of positives to take out of a game. But you look at the performance Neris thus far this evening, and with that changeup, you take a positive out of that.
One ball, 1 strike. Up and in. 2 balls, 1 strike. Jake Diekman in the bullpen. Degrees, a clear LA night. Game time temperature at the beginning was 72. 2-1 pitch is high. It's 3-1. Side corner, and it's 3-2.
Chooch got crossed up there. 3-1. Chooch not looking for a slider. Good pitch. Just not the one Chooch is looking for.
Swing and a miss. He got him with a fastball. He ran it up the ladder. And Howie Kendrick is down on strikes. 4 strikeouts for Hector Neris. This has been impressive for Hector tonight. As he gets Kendrick to wrap up the bottom of the 6th, we'll head on to the 7th. now for your Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. Phillies 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Clayton Kershaw has struck out 8 through the first 6 innings tonight. Dodgers are riding 2 homers. The first one by A.J. Ellis, who has a 3-hit night going, and the other one a 3-run shot by Jimmy Rollins. So they lead at 5-0. We begin the top of the 7th inning. Kershaw still out there, and he will face Freddie Galvis, Dominic Brown, and then a pinch hitter for Hector Neris, who was really good through 2 innings. And he'll give way, it looks like, to Jake Diekman. That's who was warming up before. Maybe that's changed. We'll take a look in a minute. Galvis swings at the first pitch, and it's 0-1. Out toward right field. It will drop for a base hit. And Galvis has 2 hits this evening. And here's Dominic Brown, who has the only extra base hit for the Phillies. That was a double his last time up. First time the Phillies have had a leadoff batter aboard against Kershaw. Fastball inside. And 2 balls and no strikes. Chopper right side. That'll get it to right field, a base hit. Galvis will stop at second. And the Phils have the first 2 batters aboard now here in the top of the 7th inning. And with Ryan Howard coming up as a pinch hitter. Thursday night at 5:30, find out what it's like to be part of the Sixers flight squad. And Gonzo shares all of his home field memories. Don't miss the 700 level show Thursday night at 5:30 only on the Comcast Network. Well, Ryan Howard is a very good pinch hitter. They decided to roll the dice with runners on first and second. Fastball, and it's 0-1. Howard's numbers as a pinch hitter: 6 pinch hit home runs. Gets a piece of it. It's no balls and 2 strikes.
Tough task right here, I'll tell you. But his pinch hitting numbers they're spectacular.
Very good. And tough pitch to go after there. That's a slider. 9 strikeouts for Kershaw. The last 5 pitchers to win the Triple Crown of pitching includes Kershaw back in 2011, along with Verlander in 2011. Jake Peavy did it. It's kind of surprising. Johan Santana and Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson's not surprising. I mean, you have to obviously be a strikeout pitcher to win that the Triple Crown, I think. And that's why Peavy to me is somewhat surprising.
When you look at Peavy now, he's very much a contact pitcher. Doesn't have that mid-90s fastball. That last strikeout by Kershaw, the 9th. He's had 5 with fastballs, 2 with the curve, and 2 with the slider.
Cesar has struck out. He's grounded out twice. So 0 for 3. Again, he's riding a 12-game hitting streak. This could be his last at bat of the night. So he is really, he's made him off balance the entire evening.
Just doesn't know what side of the plate to look on.
And would you say that? Is that because Kershaw's had command of all of his pitches?
And both sides of the plate. It's 4 pitches. It's not like it's a 2-pitch pitcher like Randy Johnson, fastball, slider. And you're talking a big variance of speeds here with that hook up to his fastball.
And a line drive caught by Kendrick. They do not double up Galvis at second. Well, he hit that ball hard. That's the hardest ball he's hit tonight. 2 outs. And Odubel Herrera's coming up.
This ball smoked. Maybe a couple inches higher. Got him a knock, but
Fielder number 37.
Freddie very aware and alert out there on the bases.
So Cesar's retired. He's 0 for 4. We were talking about how far Kershaw would go tonight. We were thinking about it back in the 4th inning. You said 7, right?
Yeah, I would say 7, but
their bullpen's been so poor, though.
It has been poor, but it's at 5 runs, and he's already at 90 pitches.
Good rip by Herrera. He fouls it back.
And you're also looking at, okay, so he's not going to make any more starts to the All-Star break, so you get him a good rest. If he does happen to go to the All-Star break, obviously a working inning most likely, but that's just an inning. You're thinking it's almost 2 weeks off. He's going to, not 2 weeks, but.
No, you're right. He's going to have to throw during the break if he doesn't make the All-Star team. 0-2. His ERA has dropped down to 2.91. His strikeout total is at 156 with his 9 tonight. No balls, 2 strikes to Odubel. Cal Franco on deck.
A bloop and a blast, 5-4.
That's a great game plan. That is a great game plan.
Easy to say from here, right, Tom?
A lot of things are easy to say from here. He waved at it. Not a great swing, obviously. 10 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. And he continues to rack up the Ks. In fact, it's the most 10 strikeout games in Major League Baseball since 2009. It's number 36 for Clayton Kershaw.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the 7th inning stretch presented by Coca-Cola. Please rise and join in the sing.
lot tonight against Clayton Kershaw. 7 hits, 6 of those hits have been singles. On the mounds, the combination of Adam Morgan and Hector Neris have gotten us through 6. And every time the Phillies pitchers retire, the opposition 1, 2, 3. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Justin Turner will lead things off as we start the bottom of the 7th inning. Jake Diekman will be the new pitcher. Diekman 2-1. His earned run average has slipped under 5, which is a good thing. And he delivers wide. It's 1-0. Turner's 0 for 2. He was hit by a pitch his first time up. '97 on that fastball, and it's 2-1. Kershaw still sitting in the dugout with a towel around his arm. Nobody else is loosening up in the bullpen. Two and two.
Kershaw at 94 pitches, so maybe they say, you know what?
I think they're just worried about their bullpen right now.
Yeah, maybe they're looking at it like, you know what, this is his last start before the break.
Yeah,
we can ride him a little bit more because we do have a longer break.
Phillies are honoring an extraordinary scholar, actually 2 each and every month at Citizens Bank Park. You have to be a sophomore or junior with a minimum 3.0 B average. You have to write an essay sharing how you are contributing to the common good through service. 2 winners will be selected each month of the season and will be honored on the field as an extraordinary scholar. Nominations accepted on a rolling basis through August 3rd, 2015. Go to Phillies.com/scholar for more information. Adrian Gonzalez hits it to shortstop. A little different swing for Adrian with the hard-throwing Jake Diekman out there, and there are 2 outs.
I think we're starting to see that a little bit more from the lefties that Jake Diekman is facing, that uncomfortable feeling in the box. You can just see, right there. Adrian Gonzalez, he'll take his ground ball to shortstop, and he's out. I'm done. My hands are clean. Thanks for coming. So as long as he can have that presence out on the mound with lefties, we're going to see that success continue to rise.
Change up low, and it's 1 ball and no strikes.
We just didn't see that out of lefties early on in the season.
I agree.
I mean, they were very comfortable at bats against him. I'm pretty sure that was his changeup there.
And he has thrown it a little bit more recently.
1-0 to Turner to lead off the inning. Look at it, it's still 90. It's like,
I think if they appeal that, yeah, Jim Reynolds is going to say swing. It's 2-1. Two balls, 2 strikes. A foul tip on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Mention that Scott Stat Andy played from 83 to 95. He's a very good major league player.
He was excellent.
Great years with the Pirates. Played with the Phillies in 95. And the slider misses outside, 3-2. A lot of folks on the infield thought that might have been a called strike 3.
Bonilla, Van Slyke, and Bonds. It's a pretty good outfield, don't you think?
Yeah. Ball 4. So 2-out walk. And Jock Peterson's coming up.
Number 31, Jock Peterson.
Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Over toward first and right past Aaron Ruff. Rounding second, heading to third is Van Slyke. Brown's throw comes in to the infield. And Jock Peterson has his first hit. So first and third with 2 men down. Here comes Jimmy Rollins, who will bat right-handed against the lefty Diekman. Jimmy Rollins has never faced Jake Diekman, except in maybe an inter-squad game in Clearwater.
He knows what to look for.
That's probably how he felt in the inter-squad games. You know, pitchers sometimes when they're in there for the first few days, they're kind of all over the place.
The worst is live batting practice. They bring the batting practice cage out, over top the catcher, and the pitcher's throwing like you would a normal bullpen.
Well, I guess that's what I was talking about. That's the situation. Yeah,
live batting practice
for the first couple of days. I mean,
that cage, I'm telling you, the cage adds 10 miles an hour. It does.
Why is that?
It's just because you're enclosed. It's just a different feeling.
2-0 pitch. Chopper softly to third. Franco better hurry. He comes in bare hands, throws on the run. What a play by Maikel Franco. He got his palm on it and was able to throw a strike to get Jimmy Rollins, and the side is retired here in the 7th inning. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 men left. Second time this year we've seen Franco make this kind of play. Man, he went after it with confidence, and he got Jimmy Rollins by a pretty good margin. Math is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. 5-0 Dodgers on top. I wonder what our Hyundai defensive play of the game is.
I wonder what that could be. As we take a look at the Hyundai defensive play of the game, it just happened. Jimmy Rollins, slow roller to Maikel Franco. Picks it and makes a firm throw. And, of course, it ended up right in Darren Ruff's chest for an out. And that is getting Jimmy Rollins by plenty. And that is your Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Well, Franco will lead it off here in the 8th inning against Clayton Kershaw. Curveball. Low, 1-0.
What they say, good play in the field, followed by
chance to lead off the inning.
A good at bat.
Oh, I thought it was a chance to lead off the inning.
No, that's not what they say, Tom.
Right, let me rewrite that down. I have written down, make a good play, you're going to lead off the inning.
And the Tigers and runner. Let me write that down.
All these myths that we're cracking. Inside, 2-1. Well, he's decided to work on that pitch in this at-bat to Franco. It's the 3rd time he's thrown it.
And that's the cutter. You see it, 86, been 86 to 88 all night. The slider has been sitting around 90.
And the curveball, well, it's been outstanding. That's 11 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. With 1 out, Darren Ruff's coming up. It's time for the Major League Notebook. Murph?
All right, thanks, Tom. Presented by St. Joseph's University. It was a wild one in Kansas City today between the Rays and the Royals. In the 4th inning, Tampa's Logan Forsythe hit an inside-the-park home run. That's always cool. But not to be outdone, in the 6th, the Royals' Jared Dyson hit his own inside-the-park home run. According to Elias, it's the first time opponents have hit inside-the-park home runs against one another since 1997. Now, the Royals won that game 9-7. However, they got some bad news in that game as well, as all-star Alex Gordon, who was chasing the original inside-the-park home run, went down with what appears to be a pretty severe groin strain. He was carted off of the field. He's going to have an MRI tomorrow to determine just how bad that groin strain is. But it did not look good by the way he was carted off the field. Nice pick down there by Turner. So, some good news for the Royals, but certainly some bad news as well as they lose one of their outfielders, guys.
Well, that was an outstanding play by Justin Turner. He hasn't made the cleanest of throws over to first base, but it's the second time we've seen him pick a ball like that. Last night it was against Francoeur. This one was a little bit more difficult, though, because of how fast it got on him.
It was a little bit of a longer hop, and, you know, kudos to Darren Ruff for hitting the ball hard. He got to knock his last time up, but Turner makes a good play there and throws him out at first.
Here is Francoeur, and Francoeur chops it foul. It's 0-1.
You know, that's just so frustrating as a hitter because, yes, you're facing Clayton Kershaw. You're 1 for 3 in the ball game against him. You go for that last at bat, most likely your last at bat. You stole the ball, and now you're 1 for 4. 2 for 4 as a hitter is so much better than 1 for 4. Because when it comes to hits, I mean, we're as greedy as anybody. Everybody.
Absolutely.
You just cannot get enough hits, especially when you're vying for playing time like Darren Ruff is.
1 ball, 1 strike to Jeff Francoeur. Ground ball to second base. Clayton Kershaw is through 8 innings here tonight. 11 strikeouts. That was just an 11-pitch inning. He's at 105 for the game. Phillies trail at 5-0.
All right, Dodger fans.
through Sunday, August 2nd. Pat Burrell will be inducted into the Phillies Wall of Fame on Friday the 31st. All part of a series against the Atlanta Braves. Tickets can be purchased any time by going to Phillies.com. Well, Clayton Kershaw, I believe, had to talk himself into, or talk Don Mattingly into allowing him to stay in the game. I mean, Ben, you've been part of these conversations.
You could read his lips. He said, I got it. I got it. Donnie Baseball did not want to let him go back out, but he talked him into it, and he is currently on the on-deck circle. And when it's Clayton Kershaw, you got to, he's your guy. I know Greinke's having a great year, but Clayton Kershaw is very consistent.
Well, here to believe in him. Here's Justin DeFreitas after a scoreless 7th inning by Jake Diekman. A.J. Ellis 3 for 3 tonight. Will lead it off. Two and 0. Carlos just held it there for a moment.
Justin very happy to be back at home in Southern California, enjoying the weather that he grew up with.
Yeah, he does not like hazy, hot, and humid.
Does anybody?
Well, that's a good point. Let me rephrase that. He talks about hazy, hot, and humid more than we do. 3 balls and 1 strike. DeFreitas is from Oxnard, California. Went to Rio Mesa High School. He was a fan of these Los Angeles Dodgers growing up. Had a play. It's 3-2. JR, how far is Oxnard from Los Angeles? How far is Oxnard from Los Angeles, JR? 30 minutes.
2.5 hours with traffic.
3-2 pitch. Ground ball foul. Nick Marquetta, our director, has just Googled the directions, and with traffic, Oxnard is 1 hour and 4 minutes from Dodger Stadium. And a strike 3 called. First out here in the 8th inning. And it'll bring Kershaw to the plate. He's going to get a nice round of applause.
Number 22, Clayton Kershaw.
He is wearing some fans out
over the third base
who
dugout.
are left this evening, I tell you. I think the worst was that he squared around the bunt, pulled it back, and tried to slash one past Franco and scolded some fans.
Over to the right side, and Hernandez has it, throws to first in time with DeFreitas covering. What a play by Cesar Hernandez, and give a little credit to Justin DeFreitas getting on his horse and getting over to first base.
Right fielder.
Excellent
Number
play.
66, Yasiel Puig.
Excellent play on everybody's part. Darren Ruff just can't seem to get to it. Cesar Hernandez gets over there. DeFreitas finds the bag. Now the toughest part of this play was getting your momentum going back towards first base when your momentum's going towards the line. He gathers himself, adjusts it, makes a very accurate throw to Justin DeFreitas at first base.
Yeah, technique from DeFreitas. Here's Puig, 0 for 4. At the knees, 0-1. Checks his swing outside, 2-1. Ball's hit well out toward right center field. Herrera out toward the fence makes the catch right at the foot of the wall, and the side is retired. No runs, no hits, nobody left. We'll go to the 9th inning. Last chance for the Phillies against Clayton Kershaw. Some of those strikeouts right here, Ben Davis.
Oh, he did it with a myriad of pitches this evening. A lot with the fastball. Early on, went to his slider, elevated a few times, just dotting down and away, in at the belt. The slider is a pitch, as I talked about pregame, pitch that really has come a long way for him, mixing a few breaking balls. But overall, he's been stellar.
61 four-seam fastballs, 26 sliders, 17 curves. I thought he threw more curveballs. Well, we'll see if he does it here in the top of the 9th. Carlos Ruiz leads it off. First pitch is on the inside corner. His last shutout here at home was his no-hitter back on June 18th of last year against Colorado. He has not walked anyone.
I believe that would have been a perfect game other than Hanley Ramirez's error, correct?
Hanley Ramirez made an errant throw. 17 career complete games, 9 shutouts for Kershaw.
He's swinging the bats here, boys. I'm not saying Paul Schreiber's going to call everything, but he might be a little more lenient at this point.
I would agree with you on that.
Boy,
Carlos, lines it into the alley in left center field. And that'll go to the wall, and Carlos will get to second base. Well, let's see how short the leash is for Clayton Kershaw. There is bullpen action.
Shortstop number 13, Freddie Galvis.
And Freddie Galvis is coming up. Galvis is 2 for 3 tonight. Kenley Jansen to your right. The human rain delay to your left. Joel Peralta.
Freddie back up to 280. Good to see.
Fouls it back to outright and out of play. It's 0-1. 0-2 pitch coming to Galvis. And he fouls it back to the same spot as earlier.
Where you as a manager think, why did I just listen to myself?
Well, he's at 112 pitches right now. Season high is 117.
That's what happens when you strike out a lot of guys. When your pitch count gets deep early. Still at 94 miles an hour, though.
Well, I think they're banking on the fact that he's not going to make the All-Star game and he's going to have some extra time. You agree?
I would have to say that's the reason. Primary reason.
Man, was he out front. How did he get a piece of that?
This curveball really just jumps out of his hand, and a lot of these hitters just elevate. You see him almost stand up. You see him. Oh! Doink. We saw Franco do it last inning. He really just stood up in the batter's box, and the ball dropped right in there.
Back towards second. Kendrick is up with it. There's one out. And Dominic Brown is coming up. Well, the average speed for the pitches for Kershaw, 94, which we just saw. For the four-seamer, the curve is in the 70s, 74. That makes sense. And the slider / cutter at 88, changeup 89. Dominic Brown has 2 hits against Kershaw. He's 2 for 3. The 0-2 pitch. You try to get a fastball by him. 94 again. Game 4 tomorrow night. Severino Gonzalez here at Dodger Stadium against Zach Greinke. And a strike 3 called. Strikeout number 12 for Clayton Kershaw.
12 Ks now. 7 by fastball, 3 by the curve, and 2 by the slider. That is paint. May have been off the plate, but like I said, you got to be swinging the bat. And that's just, as a hitter, you can't. It looks like you can't even reach that pitch.
Here's Blanco. And Blanco swings at the first pitch, lost his bat. And it's 0-1. Blanco needs a little of that Manny Mota stick.
Who was here today?
Saw him, yeah. I saw him last night, actually, too. And he looks good, doesn't he?
Amazing.
Hope the great Don Newcomb's doing okay. He was taken to the hospital the other night. 0-1 pitch to Blanco. And a breaking ball drops in 0-2. 73. That's unfair. Kershaw set to go. No balls, 2 strikes in the pitch. And he stays alive. Coming up, don't forget, former Phil Ricky Vitalico will break down all the action of tonight's game. Don't miss Phillies postgame live, presented by Cure Auto Insurance. coming up right after this game. The 0-2 pitch to Blanco. Curveball and a strike 3 call right on the outside corner. 13 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. He throws his first complete game of the season as the Dodgers win it 5-0 over the Phillies. Well, this was as dominant a pitching performance as we have seen this year. He scattered 8 hits, but he struck out 13. Look at that line for Clayton Kershaw, our Chevrolet player of the game.
He was as advertised. He was very tough. Like you said, scattered. You look back at this game, you're thinking there's no way the Phillies had 8 hits, but he did scatter them. 13 Ks. Did it in for the Phillies.
How about we get to the All-Star break, which is just a hair over the halfway point in the season, and he has 160 strikeouts. I mean, that's a remarkable number. I'm not saying that he's going to reach 300 strikeouts, but he's got a chance. All right, W. Mason deliveries of the game were the 2 home runs that gave the Dodgers this 5-0 lead.
And the first one is the 2-run homer by A.J. Ellis to put the Dodgers up 2-0, and turns out the game winner right there. That's all they needed. Jimmy Rollins later on in the game gets a breaking ball down and in off Adam Morgan. Goffs that one out to left field for a 3-run homer.